Hey everyone, we're doing an exciting giveaway. Derek, tell them about it.
You guys have heard of the $5 footlong. We are doing 5 free flight hours, completely free, once we hit 500 subscribers. Craig, what do people need to know?
So, you've got to be a subscriber on the channel. You also have to go and enter through runwaylifegiveaway.com. Those two things have to be done. Once we hit 500 subscribers, with 500 entrances, we're going to pick one lucky person to win the 5 free flight hours. Take care, everyone, and hopefully we get to see you in one of these brand new Piper P100Is soon. Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with Stuart Lankester, and I'm Craig Butterworth. We're going to talk about some of the common areas that students should probably be careful of when they're doing their pre-flights, common issues that one would expect to see. So Stuart, kind of roll us through on that, special emphasis spots that they should really pay attention to.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone's super mechanically inclined, right? So there is a checklist. You should 100% follow it and be thorough with it, because you never know. I mean, thankfully we have brand new aircraft here, and even on new stuff, you can never be too complacent. But when you're flying maybe some time building aircraft or something like that at a different school, you definitely want to be thorough with it if it's a plane from 50s, 60s, 70s, right? Because it's always good to look through the logbooks yourself and kind of see where and what was done to it, because you can kind of gauge when I mean, not everyone's going to know, but it's always good to take a look through, get a good understanding of the quality of work done and how accurate and precise it was, and if things were addressed immediately, or it was kind of just like 100 hour, right? And there's no other entries. So,
well, I think we, sometimes some of us forget just how good we really have it, that we have, relatively brand new aircraft, right? I mean, the oldest one out there is 3 years old, right?
I think the twin is 2018.
Right, yeah. I take the twin out of it, only because that doesn't fly anywhere near as much.
Yeah, the other ones are all 2022, I believe, is the
So those are like brand new, and we have on-site maintenance. There's an awful lot of schools that don't have that.
Yeah.
Right? That they are at the mercy of the closest A&P with the best rates. Yeah. Right? Because it's a business. They have to look at that. So I mean, I understand that side of it, but for us, we're kind of blessed.
Yeah. But I think a big thing too is like mainly on older aircraft, like look for smoking rivets, right? Yep. That's a big one. Look for loose panels.
And explain a smoking rivet for a second for everyone, because some people might not, obviously inside of it, I know exactly what it means, but just try and explain that.
Smoking rivet is basically when like the vibrations or whatever will slowly cause a rivet to wear over time and become loose, and you'll see a small little trail of black stuff coming off of it, and that's
around it and passing off.
Well, yeah, it looks like a little smoke trail, right? And that's a big sign. Just address that. Let maintenance know. If it's just one, I mean, just talk to your school, right? For sure. But also, like, don't be afraid to put your hands on like the Heim joints, all the actual components of the main flight controls, and checking everything thoroughly. Because like, if you just look at things, right, sometimes that's not always the first indication. When you actually touch stuff, okay, that panel's secure, like, that's the biggest thing, is actually get in there, hands on, and do it yourself instead of just visually seeing it. Like, make sure.
Well, you'd be amazed. I mean, I did my flight training around the time it was mid my flight training when the issue out in Daytona happened with the was it narrow? It was narrow, right?
Yeah.
That basically folded in half.
Yeah.
And the wing wiggle, I'd already been doing that because I'd seen it somewhere else, but it wasn't necessarily deep dive into really watching your gap seals as you're doing your wing wiggle.
Yeah.
So I'd already been doing it, but then all of a sudden I saw everybody else on the field doing it. And I was like, okay, well, that's kind of like a little bit of validation. I was doing it the right way without knowing I was doing it, or that other people were doing it kind of the wrong way, if you would.
Yeah, same thing with the horizontal stab. I mean,
yeah.
Like,
I would say it's pretty difficult to damage one of those from a wing wiggle. And you kind of walking up and just going, like half-heartedly isn't really going to show you what you need to know if there is an issue.
Just don't break it.
Yeah, just don't break it.
Yeah.
You're not trying to grab it and shake it to death, but you do need to have some gusto behind that rather than just kind of half-heartedly shaking it.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like, you have to do things the proper way, and you should be learning that from your instructor as well.
Yep.
If they're not present with you all the time, I mean, you need to have that initiative yourself and not just rush through things, because complacency but it can cause problems.
Yeah, I would almost agree with the can eventually, or what it will eventually bite you in the butt.
Yeah,
maybe not with aviation, maybe not. But the more you get complacent, it's like the people that say, "Oh, I just jump in my car. I don't bother putting the seatbelt on because I'm only driving down to the corner. It's only a mile away." And then they look, you kind of look at statistics, and most accidents kind of happen within, the end of the journey or, a couple of miles of home. So complacency will bite you in the butt for sure.
Can.
Yep. Yeah. So the other things that they should really kind of pay attention to, like for me, I always, and it doesn't say it on the checklist, but I will walk up to the front of the plane and go 20 feet back and just look at the plane and see how it's sitting. Yeah. That doesn't necessarily say that on the checklist to take that kind of a distance check, but you can see, well, okay, the right side is down lower.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is just being thorough. I mean, it never hurts to double check stuff. It's not like, say you're working as a mechanic on cars where it's like you go home and you're like, oh man, did I tighten that? Like I've done that on my car way back. Well, I don't know if I should say that, but yeah, like way back in the day, and you're sitting there, you've done like a whole night of wrenching on a car, or like you're at the racetrack, you're working on your bike. Yep. And all of a sudden it's like you wake up and you're like, let me just double check that.
That's one of those with safety wires, right? I mean, fortunately, when you're inside of safety wires with planes, everything ends up getting safety wired. Yeah. Predominantly, right? So that's kind of your final mental check, right? Once you've done that, you've taut that bolt, and now you're putting in your safety wire. That's your final mental, okay, I'm good.
Yeah,
check.
A really good thing too is if you're working with, I have Patrick here as well. I have Adam here as well. It's like when you do something like that's a critical component, just have somebody else go over it as well. So that way you have two-step verification. It's good. Then you can deal with it and safety wire it and finish putting it back together. Yeah. So that's a big thing that I always do. I've learned it. I've done that forever. It never hurts to have a second set of eyes on something. If you ever question anything, just ask.
And always sump that fuel.
And but I mean, here's another thing too with the students. Like if they ever have any questions, just ask. Yep. I'm happy to always help out and give some form of knowledge and advice to everyone, right? Yeah. But I'd rather someone express their concerns or questions than someone be too afraid to ask and get an answer.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Well, thank you very much for doing this quick segment. I mean, this one was a quick kind of flyer, and see how many people like it. If you are interested in the aviation mechanics side of things, we've got a couple of other videos, and Derek's going to put them up somewhere around here. Thanks very much. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you.